Everybody messes up. Everybody makes mistakes. We all have faults and weaknesses that lead us at times to do things that we might regret, to hurt ourselves or others around us. But as all of us go through life trying to overcome these challenges, realizing that each of us has a different way to deal with the struggles, with the internal demons that we all face, there's one very common mistake that many people make. And that's to think that the mistakes that we've made in the past, the parts of us that we don't like, need to be buried. They need to be ignored. They need to be crushed. But there are a number of dangers associated with this path. One is that if we struggle with anger and we try and bottle it up inside, then it's going to explode at the worst moment. Whereas if we try and learn to live with it, rather than trying to dominate it, it can become a part of who we are, can actually make us stronger, which leads to the other thing that's not actually a danger, but it's a constructive possibility. If we face the worst part of who we are and overcome it, can actually make us stronger. It can allow us to learn from our mistakes and help us become a better person. But we can't do that unless we are sometimes forced or force ourselves to face our past and the things about us that we don't always like. And the Torah is filled with beautiful rituals and symbols that often ask us to look at parts of our past and our people that we wish didn't happen. But those are the events that help define who we are and help make us stronger. In this week's parasha of Terumah, it talks about the donations given to help build the Mishkan, the holy dwelling place of Hashem, this ritualistic building that becomes so symbolic for the rabbis. And Rashi picks up on something very beautiful when it talks about the altars where we make an offering to Hashem. Within the Mishkan, near the inside, there's a mizbach hazahav, a golden altar, and outside of the Mishkan, in the outer courtyard, is a mizbach hanachoshet, an altar of copper. Well, why is it made of copper? Could have made it of many other kinds of metals. And there may be more than one answer to this, but Rashi picks up one which is quite beautiful that he gets from a midrash. And he says that the reason that you make it, that you cover it in copper, is lechaper al azut metzach. The word lechaper, like kapara, often translated as atone, but it's really to fix the mistake that we've made, to make up for the wrong that we've done in the past, and to do it for the kind of brazenness, stubbornness in the face of God. And the Midrash actually brings a beautiful line from the prophet Yeshayahu, where God talks about the stubborn people, and then the phrase that God uses to describe us, or that Yeshayahu uses to describe us, mitzchacha nechusha, and your foreheads are, the translation is often brazen, but it could literally be copper. In other words, the people had this sin where they were stubborn before God. They wouldn't listen to God. They would turn away from God. And this copper altar reminds the people of one of their greatest struggles. One of their greatest weaknesses is their stubbornness. No matter how many miracles God does, no matter how many times there are consequences for their action, the people are still a stubborn people. The copper altar can then remind the people of their stubbornness of the past that led them to turn away from God. And hopefully by facing that physical symbol that has a symbolic, metaphorical meaning, it can remind them that they don't have to be that way, that they can grow from it. Rather than forgetting their mistakes of the past, they can learn from them. And the other really important thing is that brazenness and stubbornness are not always a bad trait. Stubbornness in the face of God telling you to do good, that leads to bad consequences. But stubbornness in the face of evil and refusing to do bad, that's when it becomes a good trait. But the copper reminds them of how they've messed up in the past, and it gives them strength to be stronger in the future. Shabbat Shalom.